This month, we talk about Azure and AWS announcing a long list of new storage features and updates. Do you have VMs and services on Azure that will be retired in 12 months? Netapp becomes the first native third-party vendor on AWS. And many more cloud news stories from the last month we'll cover here in the next 10 minutes or less. Hey there, I'm Matt Carolyn and welcome to this month's Puck Online episode, bringing you the hot topics from the last month in the public cloud space. Today we're here on the edge of a bird sanctuary in North Vancouver, Canada. Lots of news to cover this month, so let's get into it. So in general news, at the end of August, the US White House invited the CEOs of Apple, IBM, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and others to meet with President Joe Biden to discuss how the government and private sectors can work together to improve the nation's cybersecurity. Out of the event, Microsoft, Google, and IBM pledged to participate in the initiative, and Google and IBM also announced investments they were making in the cybersecurity space. And in Azure news, for regions with availability zones, the Azure App Service has now reached GA for supporting AZs. The App Service automatically allocates compute across zones, ensuring applications stay up and running. Combining this with availability zone support across Azure for storage, networking, and data, you can now create highly available end-to-end application architectures. And Azure Files now supports Server Message Blocks 3.1.1, which is the most recent version of the SMB protocol. It ships with two additional encryption modes, AES 128 GCM and AES 256 GCM, in addition to the AES 128 CCM, which was already supported. With this release, you can configure allowed SMB protocol versions, SMB channel encryption options, authentication methods, and Kerberos ticket encryption options. SMB multi-channel for Azure Files has also gone GA. It's disabled by default, but when enabled, it allows SMB clients to take full advantage of all available network bandwidth and makes them resilient to network failures, reducing total cost of ownership and enabling 2 to 3 times for reads and 3 to 4 times for writes through a single client. And Azure Files now supports storage capacity reservations. This allows you to achieve a discount on storage by pre-committing to storage utilization on the premium, hot, and cool tiers. Capacity reservations are sold in units at 10 terabytes and 100 terabytes for terms of either 1 or 3 years. Azure Route Server simplifies dynamic routing between your network virtual appliance and your virtual network. When you establish a BGP peering between your appliance and Azure Route Server, you can advertise the IP address from the appliance to your virtual network. Your appliance will also learn what IP addresses your virtual network has. Azure Route Service is a fully managed service and is configured with a high availability. And there was a bit of a list at the end of August of services that are being retired. Most have at least a year, some have 3 years before they're being retired. But it's always good to be aware and plan ahead of time. This is a quick list of the ones that I felt were key. So at the end of August next year, all versions of version 1 of Azure AD Connect will be retired. By then, you'll need to be on the latest version, which today is 2.0.10. And at the end of June next year, Azure AD Graph will be retired. Before then, you'll need to update your apps to Microsoft Graph, which has the same capabilities plus more. And the retirement date of hard-coded IP addresses for Azure Site Recovery has been extended till the end of August 2024. You'll need to change to service tags, which is a more secure, has less limitations, and is not interrupted by service upgrades. After August 2024, you'll no longer be able to add new hard-coded IP addresses. And a few series of VMs are being retired. At the end of August next year, ND series will be retired. You should be looking to move to newer GPU VMs for better value, as well as avoiding issues once they are no longer an option. Also, the following year at the end of August, basic and standard A series VMs will be retired. So make sure you move to the A version 2 series, as you'll get more bang for buck anyway, with more memory per virtual CPU and faster storage on SSDs. And on Azure Premium SSDs, you can now change the performance tiers without any downtime to your application. You can change the performance tier of a disk even when it's attached to a running virtual machine. And at the end of August, Microsoft announced the public preview of a simpler and more reliable way to protect your VMware virtual machines using Azure Site Recovery for recovering quickly from disasters. The major overhaul of ASR for hybrid DR now sees the following enhancements. So there's automatic upgrades for both the appliance and the mobility service. Additionally, it will no longer require the machine's root admin credentials to auto upgrade. Scaling now is much easier with the appliance now being a single unit of management and all its components now being microservices hosted on Azure. High availability for the appliance is now very easy with no need to take up backup of appliances anymore. If you have an issue with the appliance, all you need to do is spin up a new appliance, switch all your machines to the new appliance, and then you're done, with no need any longer to go through the complete replication again. And Windows 11 is now available for Azure Virtual Desktop users. Simply deploy it from the marketplace. You'll have a choice of Windows 11 Enterprise, Enterprise Multi-Session, and Enterprise Multi-Session with Microsoft 365 apps. And Azure Blob Storage now has a new feature for admins with last access time tracking, which integrates with lifecycle management to allow for automatic tiering and deletion of data based on when individual blobs are last accessed. This allows greater cost control as well as an automatic workflow, including deletion of data after it is no longer used. And in AWS news, AWS Storage Days 2021 was held at the start of September as an online event. The free event was started in 2019, with this being the third of its annual event and showcased many storage-related announcements, insights, and educational content. It was hosted on AWS's Twitch channel as a live streaming and started with the keynote talk by Wayne Dewson, the VP of Storage, Edge, and Data Governance. After the keynote, they had live interviews with the AWS leadership team. And one of the big announcements that came out of the Storage Days events was that AWS FSx now works with 3 file systems: Windows File Server using SMB protocol, Lustre for high-performance computing, and now Netapp ONTAP. So Amazon's FSx for Netapp ONTAP was only one of the many new storage features Amazon introduced. Others include Amazon S3 multi-region access points, which simplifies the building of multi-region applications, and Amazon S3 intelligent tiering update to make more useful of short-lived and small storage objects, Amazon Elastic File System Intelligence tiering to better optimize shared file storage costs, AWS Backup Audit Manager to audit and report on data protection policy compliance, Amazon Elastic Block Store support for 64 terabyte EBS snapshots, and AWS Transfer Managed Workflows to help reduce the manual task of pre-processing data for file transfers. And Amazon is also on a hiring spree, looking to hire an additional 55,000 people in its retail and cloud businesses, with the most need coming out of the engineering, research, and robotics spaces. 40,000 of those positions will be listed in the US, with the rest being filled internationally. And in GCP Google news, during the US White House security meeting at the end of August, Google announced that it will be investing $10 billion over the next 5 years in cybersecurity. The effort will include helping to secure the supply chain and strengthening open source security. The investment will also expand zero trust programs in which organizations don't automatically trust any person or device when it comes to cybersecurity. Google also pledged to train 100,000 Americans in tech support and data analytics through its Google Career Certificate program. In addition, the company will train over 10 million Americans in basic to advanced digital skills by 2023. And the Google Cloud Startup Summit, which is being held on September 9th, is being targeted to the US, Canada, Europe, Middle East, and Africa countries. It will start with a keynote talk by Astro Teller, who is the captain of Moonshots at Google, which is a branch within Google focused at getting big ideas off the ground, such as self-driving cars, Google Glass, robotics, and more. After the initial talks, there will be a technical track and a founders track you can listen to, and then you can get into some more learning. You can find a link to register the event here. The pub sub to Splunk Dataflow template has received an update, with it now having automatic log parsing with improved capabilities with Splunk add-on for GCP, as well as more extensibility with user-defined functions for custom transforms. So in wrap-up, make sure you check out publiccloud.ninja for links to all the vodcast, podcasts, and online meetups and events. And click the like and subscribe buttons so that you get notified each month when we release a new episode. Our next episode will be in 4 weeks' time. Till then, stay safe and keep challenging yourself.